Professor Dalmon clicked his presentation remote, and the holographic display shifted to show an ancient Federation warning beacon. The auditorium filled with laughter from 300 students representing 47 different species. Class 12 Hazard Worlds, Dalmon said, his mandibles clicking in amusement. According to outdated colonial surveys, these planets were deemed too dangerous for sentient life to evolve. The atmosphere pressure alone would crush most species. The fauna would devour anything that moved. The weather patterns could kill in moments. More laughter rippled through the lecture hall. A student in the front row, a crystalline being from Harmony's reach, raised a translucent appendage. Professor, the old logs mention Earth specifically. They claim intelligent beings live there. Dalmon's eye stalks quivered with mirth. Ah yes, the mythical humans. Supposedly bipedal mammals from a death world. The logs describe creatures that could outrun prey for days, survive injuries that would kill any rational species, and form bonds with apex predators. He paused for effect. Biologically impossible. Higher cognition requires resources. You cannot develop philosophy while running from predators. You cannot build civilization while your planet actively tries to kill you. The students nodded, taking notes on their tablets. This was Dalmon's most popular lecture, the one where he debunked ancient superstitions with modern science. That a small voice came from the middle section. Rin, a moth-like student with delicate wings, spoke hesitantly. Professor, I heard a human enrolled this semester. Exchange program from Earth. The laughter stopped. Dalmo's confident expression flickered. Impossible. That must be a clerical error or species misclassification. The admission office probably confused a Terran colony world with a mythical Earth. He waved a limb dismissively. Continue with your notes. As I was explaining, the concept of Deathworlders persists only because ancient survey teams were prone to exaggeration. In the back row, a figure sat quietly. Most students wore the thin, comfortable clothing appropriate for harmonious VII's perfect, climate-controlled environment. This one wore thick fabric, heavy boots, and what appeared to be multiple layers despite the room's pleasant temperature. Owen Briggs listened to the professor explain why he could not exist. He found it oddly entertaining. The professor was not malicious, just genuinely convinced by his own research. Owen had read Dalmon's published papers during the long journey from Earth. They were thorough, logical, and completely wrong. The final proof, Dalmon continued, lies in basic physics. Gravity on these supposed death worlds would be nearly twice our standard. Bone density would make movement sluggish. Muscle mass would consume so much energy that complex brains could not develop. These beings, if they existed, would be lumbering brutes incapable of science or art. Owen suppressed a smile. He had wondered how the galaxy would react to Earth's first official contact. Turns out they had convinced themselves humans were fairy tales. It made sense. The Federation's oldest records came from probe data, not actual visits. Earth had been quarantined as too dangerous for contact missions. By the time humanity developed faster-than-light travel on their own, the Federation had forgotten the warnings were real. Your assignment, Dalmon announced, is a field study at our wildlife research facility. You will observe the most dangerous fauna in this sector and document their behavior patterns. This will demonstrate proper scientific method when studying aggressive species. Students groaned. Even the safest field work made them nervous. Harmonious 7 had no predators, no venomous creatures, nothing that could harm a sentient being. The research facility's dangerous animals were imported from Class 4 and Class 5 worlds, herbivores by Earth standards. Form your study groups now, Dalmon instructed. I expect preliminary reports by next week. Students clustered together, species grouping with familiar species. Rin found themselves alone, as usual. The other students found the delicate moth person too fragile for field work. Rin gathered their materials, resigned to working solo again. Need a partner? Rin turned. The heavily dressed figure from the back row stood nearby. Up close, Rin noticed details. The being was tall, but not excessively so, with smooth skin in a tan shade, bilateral symmetry, and forward-facing eyes. Those eyes were what caught Rin's attention. They moved constantly, tracking every person in the room, noting exits, assessing threats that did not exist in this safe space. Predator eyes. "I'm Owen," the being said, extending a hand in what Rin recognized from cultural databases as a human greeting. Rin's wings trembled. "You're actually human? Last time I checked." Owen smiled, showing flat teeth with slightly pointed canines. "Figured I should probably partner with someone. This is my first semester here. But the professor said you're a myth." "Yeah, I noticed that." Owen glanced toward Dalmon, who was answering questions from a group of eager students. Should probably correct him eventually, but not during his big debunking lecture. That would be rude. Rin studied Owen carefully. The human did not move like other species. His weight shifted constantly, balanced on the balls of his feet, ready to react to dangers that were not there. His breathing was controlled, steady. His hands, when not gesturing, stayed loose and ready. Everything about Owen screamed predator to Rin's instincts. Yet his voice was gentle, his expression open and friendly. "The field research," Rin said quietly. "You should know, I'm not very strong. I cannot help if anything goes wrong." Owen's expression softened. "That's okay. I've done field work before. We'll be fine." The auditorium emptied as students left for their next classes. Professor Delmon remained behind, organizing his notes, satisfied with another successful lecture proving that Deathworlders were nothing but ancient paranoia. Neither he nor his students realized that particular myth had been sitting in the back row, taking notes and preparing for a field trip that would change everything they thought they knew about the universe. The Wildlife Research Facility sat on the smaller moon of Harmonious 7, a compromise between scientific study and public safety. Students arrived in groups, their transport shuttle settling onto the landing pad with barely a whisper. The facility director, a six-limbed creature named Pollen, greeted them with obvious anxiety. "Environmental suits are mandatory," Pollen announced, gesturing to a rack of protective gear. "The observation bunkers are reinforced, but we take no chances with your safety." Owen watched as his classmates donned thick suits designed to protect against the native wildlife. The suits included air filtration, temperature regulation, and impact-resistant plating. For observing herbivores that would not even notice student presence, Rin struggled with their suit, wings catching in the back panel. Owen helped adjust the straps without being asked. His own clothing, the same heavy jacket and boots from class, drew stares from other students. "Where's your protective gear?" A large, rock-like student asked Owen suspiciously. "This is it," Owen replied simply. Pollen approached, eye clusters focusing on Owen. "You must wear proper safety equipment. Facility regulations are absolute." "I understand. What exactly are we observing today?" "Grazers from Kelvin 3, a Class 4 world. Potentially aggressive if startled. Their kick can dent steel plating." Owen nodded. "Like horses." "Got it. Horses." Pollen's confusion was evident. "Similar animals on Earth. We ride them for fun." The statement created silence. Rin watched as Pollen processed this information, clearly uncertain if Owen was joking. Before Pollen could respond, alarms shrieked through the facility. Red lights bathed the landing area in warning colors that Pollen's voice lost all professional calm. "Lockdown. Everyone to the shelters immediately." Students panicked, running in different directions. Owen stayed still, hand moving to Rin's shoulder to keep the nervous moth person from bolting. "What's happening?" Owen asked, voice cutting through the chaos. Pollen was speaking rapidly into a communication device. Security personnel in heavy armor rushed past, carrying weapons that looked excessive for a research facility. The director finally turned to address the students. "Containment breach in Xenobiology Wing. A Ravager has escaped." The students who understood what that meant went pale, or whatever equivalent their biology allowed. Those who did not know asked questions in frightened voices. "What level threat?" Owen's question was calm, practical. "Class 7 Apex Predator," Pollen said, limbs shaking. "Brought here for behavioral study 3 months ago. It has killed 4 handlers on its homeworld. 3 meters tall, acidic saliva, hunting instinct that borders on supernatural. The military is being contacted. Owen processed this information with the same expression he might use for a weather report. How did it escape? Containment system failure during transfer to medical facility. It is wounded, which makes it more dangerous. Wounded predators are unpredictable. Which direction did it go? Pollen pointed toward a corridor that led to the student quarters. Owen's expression changed for the first time, a slight tightening around his eyes. Anyone still in that section? Rin made a small sound. My equipment. I left my field kit in the dormitory. I was going to retrieve it after orientation. Owen looked at the security teams, coordinating their response. They were planning a perimeter 3 sectors away from the Ravagers' last known position, setting up suppression fields and calling for military-grade tranquilizers. Standard procedure for a threat they were trained to avoid, not confront. I'm going to get your kit, Owen said to Rin. That is suicide, Pollen stated flatly. Security will retrieve it after the creature is contained, and if the Ravager finds it first, uses that area as a den. Professor Dalmon arrived, having been summoned from the observation deck. He took in the scene with growing horror. Owen, you will stay with the group. This is not a debate. Owen met the professor's gaze. Those forward-facing predator eyes showed no fear, only calculation. That corridor is narrow. If the Ravager dens there, your security teams will have to go in eventually. Better to check now while it is still moving, still confused. You have no weapons, no armor, no training, Dalmon protested. I have enough training. Owen turned to Rin. Stay with the professor. I will be back. Before anyone could stop him, Owen walked toward the corridor security had just declared a red zone. His movements were efficient, purposeful. He did not run. He did not hesitate. He simply moved like someone who had done dangerous things before and expected to do them again. Rin watched Owen disappear into the corridor, then turned to Professor Dalmon. Should we not stop him? Dalmon stared at the empty corridor. I do not think we could. Security continued establishing their perimeter. Pollen coordinated with military response teams. Students huddled in designated safe zones. On observation screens throughout the facility, camera feeds tracked the Ravager's movement through corridors and storage areas. One screen showed Owen walking calmly through the student quarters section, following broken equipment and acid burns on the walls. His head turned to slight sounds. His hands stayed loose at his sides. He moved like something hunting rather than something being hunted. Professor Dalmon watched the screen with growing unease. Owen's body language, his fearless approach to a creature that terrified trained security forces, his casual acceptance of mortal danger. These were not the behaviors of any rational species Dalmon had studied. What is he? A student whispered that Dalmon did not answer. For the first time in his distinguished career, he suspected his lectures on mythical Deathworlders might need significant revision. On the screen, Owen reached the dormitory entrance. The Ravager's tracks led inside. Owen checked the corridor behind him once, then stepped through the doorway into darkness. The camera feed inside was damaged. They could see nothing of what happened next. They could only wait and hope the myth walking through that door knew what he was doing. Owen's eyes adjusted to the dim emergency lighting inside the dormitory. Equipment lockers lined the walls, most of them torn open by something searching, confused, in pain. Acid burns scarred the metal surfaces. The air smelled wrong, sharp with chemicals and the copper scent of blood. He found Rin's field kit scattered near the back wall. Beyond it, huddled behind an overturned storage container, Rin's roommate trembled. The small amphibian student had hidden when the alarm started, too frightened to run for the shelters. Between Owen and the terrified student stood the Ravager. The creature was magnificent in a terrible way. Its body resembled a mixture of reptile and insect, 6 legs ending in claws designed for tearing. Armored plates covered its spine. Its head featured too many eyes and a jaw that dripped liquid capable of melting through metal. A deep gash along its side leaked dark blood where the containment breach had injured it. The Ravager faced the cowering student, muscles tensed for a killing strike. It had not noticed Owen yet. Owen studied the creature like he might study a grizzly or a mountain lion. He looked past the weapons evolution had given it and saw the signals its body language provided. The way it favored its wounded side. How its head swung toward every sound, disoriented by the unfamiliar environment. The tremor in its legs from blood loss and stress. This was not a monster. This was a frightened, injured animal trapped somewhere it did not understand. Owen spoke quietly. "Hey there." The Ravager spun toward him with shocking speed. Every eye focused on the new threat. Its jaw opened, revealing rows of teeth designed for rending flesh. The ridge along its spine rose in a threat display. Owen did not move. He kept his hands visible, open, non-threatening. His voice stayed calm and low. "That looks painful," he said, gesturing slightly toward the wound. "Containment fields can be brutal. I have seen what they do to large animals." The Ravager took a step toward him. Acid dripped from its jaw, burning small holes in the floor. Owen noted the distance, the creature's reach, the angles of attack it preferred. His mind cataloged this information automatically, survival instincts honed by a childhood on a planet where everything could kill you. Behind the Ravager, the student tried to run. The movement triggered the creature's hunting response. It whipped around, preparing to strike. Owen moved faster than his size suggested possible. He put himself between the predator and prey, arms spread wide, making himself the larger threat. The Ravager could go through him to reach the student, but it would have to acknowledge him first. The creature charged. Owen sidestepped at the last moment, not attacking, just evading. The Ravager crashed into a row of lockers, disoriented. It turned, confused why this prey had not run or fought back. "Go," Owen said calmly to the student. Slowly, no sudden moves, back toward the door. The amphibian student obeyed, moving with painful slowness toward the exit. The Ravager tracked the movement but stayed focused on Owen, who remained the more immediate presence. Owen began removing his jacket. The motion was deliberate, controlled. He tore the heavy fabric into strips while maintaining eye contact with the creature. The Ravager circled him, testing, trying to understand what he was. "You are scared," Owen said, still tearing fabric. "New place, bright lights, pain from that wound. Everyone here treats you like a monster, so you act like one. I understand that." The creature lunged again. Owen moved aside, still not counterattacking. His hand stayed busy with the jacket strips. The Ravager stopped, breathing hard, confused by prey that would not flee or fight. Owen saw the student reach the doorway and slip through to safety. Now, it was just him and a Ravager in the damaged dormitory. "Let me help," Owen said. He knelt slowly, making himself smaller, less threatening. He held out the torn fabric strips. The Ravager watched him with those too many eyes, muscles tensed for violence. Owen waited. Patience was a skill Earth taught brutally and thoroughly. He had tracked wounded animals through Canadian forests, rehabilitated aggressive dogs others had given up on, worked with conservation teams managing bears and wolves. This creature was dangerous, yes, but so was everything he had grown up around. The Ravager took one step closer, then another. Its breathing was labored now, the wound taking its toll. It was losing blood, losing strength, trapped in a place that felt like an enemy. Owen remained perfectly still. He let the creature come to him. When the Ravager was close enough to kill him with a single strike, Owen slowly reached toward the wounded side. The creature's muscles bunched. It could end him now. They both knew it, that Owen's hand touched the edge of the wound. The Ravager flinched but did not attack. Owen began wrapping the torn fabric around the injury, applying pressure to slow the bleeding. His movements were gentle, professional, the same way he would treat any injured animal. "There," he said quietly. "That should help until proper medical care arrives." The Ravager's breathing slowed. The threat display along its spine lowered. It was still dangerous, still capable of killing, but something in its posture changed. It watched Owen with what might have been confusion or might have been recognition. Owen sat back on his heels, one hand resting on the creature's armored side. He could feel its heartbeat, rapid and strong. It could still attack. He gave it that choice. The Ravager collapsed beside him, exhausted. Owen kept his hand on its flank, monitoring its breathing, waiting for help to arrive. In the security center, Professor Dalmon watched the screen in absolute silence. The other students crowded around, witnessing something that should not be possible. The Deathworlders sat calmly beside the apex predator, both of them breathing in the quiet darkness, and the galaxy's understanding of what was possible began to crack. The medical facility, designed for treating research animals, had never hosted a conscious apex predator before. The Ravager lay on a reinforced platform, while 3 veterinarians worked from behind protective barriers. Their hands shook as they operated remote instruments to treat the wound properly. Owen sat beside the creature's head, one hand resting on its armored neck. The Ravager remained calm as long as Owen stayed close. When he shifted position, its eyes tracked him nervously. "You need to explain what you are doing," the head veterinarian said through the intercom. Her voice carried bewilderment more than fear. "That creature should be sedated and restrained. Instead, it is letting you pet it." "I am keeping it calm," Owen replied. "The sedatives you have are probably calculated for its size and metabolism, but it is already stressed and injured. Too much sedation could be dangerous. Conscious and calm is safer." Professor Dalmon entered the medical facility accompanied by university security and 3 administration officials. They wore protective gear. Owen wore his torn shirt and a medical blanket someone had draped over his shoulders. "Owen Briggs," the lead administrator began, reading from a tablet. "You are listed in our records as human, species origin Earth, classification pending review." "That is correct," Owen said. "Earth is designated a Class 12 hazard world. Sentient life from such environments is considered theoretical." "Also correct, though I would argue I am pretty solid evidence against the theoretical part." Dalmon stepped forward. His earlier confidence had evaporated. "How did you do what you did in that dormitory?" "Our security analysis shows the Ravager had 17 opportunities to kill you." "Why are you alive?" Owen considered the question. "Because I did not give it a reason to kill me." "Explain that," an administrator demanded. The Ravager was scared, hurt, confused. It attacked because it felt threatened. I showed it I was not a threat. I helped with its injury. Animals understand that kind of communication better than words. "Animal, Dalmon repeated slowly. You keep calling it an animal. This is an apex predator from a Class 7 world. It has killed trained handlers. So have elephants. So have tigers. That does not make them evil or mindless. It makes them powerful creatures that need to be understood and respected." The veterinarian spoke up again. His field dressing of the wound saved the Ravager's life. Another hour and it would have died from blood loss. "How did you know the correct pressure and placement?" Owen shrugged. "I have worked with injured wildlife before. The principles are pretty universal. Stop the bleeding, keep the animal calm, get professional help." One of the administrators pulled up data on his tablet. "Your application listed experience in wildlife conservation and rehabilitation. We assumed this meant herbivorous species from peaceful environments. It meant whatever needed help." Owen said simply that Dalmon moved closer to the Ravager, though he maintained a careful distance. "On your world, creatures like this are common. We have similar apex predators. Bears, big cats, crocodiles. Each ecosystem has its own version, and humans interact with these creatures. Some of us dedicate our lives to studying and protecting them." The statement created silence. The administrators exchanged glances. The security chief looked disturbed. Dalmon appeared to be having his entire worldview dismantled piece by piece. "This changes things," an administrator said carefully. "The university cannot guarantee student safety if a human is enrolled. Your very presence suggests that our understanding of biology and evolution is fundamentally flawed." Rin entered the medical facility, having been cleared by security. The small moth person approached Owen cautiously. "I wanted to thank you for saving my roommate and for retrieving my field kit." "No problem," Owen said. Rin looked at the Ravager. "Is it really safe?" "Right now, yes. It is tired and hurt. Once it heals, it should be relocated to a proper sanctuary where it can live without being imprisoned." "You would release an apex predator?" the security chief asked, horrified. "I would put it somewhere it belongs. Keeping it in a research facility is cruel and dangerous for everyone. Professor Dalmon sat down heavily in a chair designed for much smaller beings. I have spent 20 years studying predator species. I have published 37 papers on apex biology. I lectured this morning about why Deathworlders are impossible. And now a human sits beside the most dangerous creature in this sector while explaining conservation ethics. Owen met the professor's gaze. Your research was good. You just did not have complete information. Earth was quarantined, so you never had access to actual humans. Now you do. What does this mean? Dalmon asked quietly. It means you get to revise your theories with new data. That is how science works. The Ravager stirred, and every person except Owen tensed. The creature simply adjusted its position, moving its head to rest more comfortably. One massive eye focused on Owen, then slowly closed. It trusts you, Rin observed with wonder. It understands I helped it. Trust takes longer. An administrator cleared her throat. The university board will need to review this situation. Human enrollment may need special protocols. I'm just here to learn, Owen said. Same as every other student. You are not the same, Dalmon said, but his tone was not accusing. It was almost reverent. You are proof that the galaxy is larger and stranger than we imagined. That terrifies the administration and fascinates me equally. Owen smiled slightly. I can work with fascination. The veterinarians completed their treatment. The Ravager was stable, resting peacefully. Owen stayed beside it as the facility staff debated policies and protocols around him. Outside, news of the incident spread through the university. Students whispered about the human who tamed an apex predator. Professors questioned their textbooks. The galaxy's comfortable certainties began to shift, and in the medical facility, Owen simply sat with a dangerous creature and made sure it felt safe enough to heal. The lecture hall that had mocked Deathworlders 3 days ago now overflowed with beings desperate to understand them. Students sat in the aisles. Faculty members stood along the walls. Media drones hovered near the ceiling, broadcasting to universities across the Federation. The room designed for 300 held nearly 600. Owen stood at the podium where Professor Dalmon had delivered his debunking lecture. The Ravager rested beside him, calm and alert. Its wound was healing well. It had not left Owen's side since the incident that Dalmon sat in the front row, having personally requested that Owen share what life on a death world actually meant. The professor's expression showed equal parts dread and excitement. I am not a public speaker, Owen began. I study animals and try to help them. But people have questions, so I will do my best to answer. He activated the holographic display. An image of Earth appeared, blue and green and white, beautiful from space. This is my home, Owen said. By Federation standards, it should not support sentient life. But 4 billion years of evolution had different ideas. The image shifted to show Earth's oceans. A great white shark breached the surface, jaws open, hunting seals. This is one of our ocean predators. For meters long, 300 kilograms, serrated teeth designed for tearing flesh. They have existed for 400 million years because they are excellent at killing. Students shifted nervously. The shark looked like nightmares given physical form. Owen continued. We also have saltwater crocodiles, 7 meters long, bite force that crushes bone. Orcas that hunt in packs using complex strategies. Box jellyfish with venom that stops hearts in minutes. The ocean alone would be considered a Class 9 hazard zone by Federation standards. And humans swim in these oceans? A student asked, voice trembling. Every day, for recreation. The murmur that passed through the hall mixed disbelief with horror. Owen showed the next image, a polar bear standing on Arctic ice. Land predators. This one weighs 800 kilograms and can run faster than most species in this room. We have lions that hunt in coordinated groups, tigers that stalk prey through dense jungle, wolves with social structures as complex as some civilizations. How do humans survive? Rin asked from the third row. We adapted. We learned to read predator behavior, predict their movements, understand their communication. We did not outfight them. We outsmarted them. Owen pulled up an image of early humans tracking game across grasslands. My ancestors were persistence hunters. We could not run fast, but we could run forever. We chased prey until they collapsed from exhaustion. It took hours, sometimes days, but we did not stop. Professor Dalmon leaned forward. That level of endurance is impossible according to our metabolic models. Your models were built studying species that evolved in safer environments. On Earth, you develop endurance or you die. Natural selection was extremely thorough. The next images showed Earth's weather patterns. Hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, volcanic eruptions. Our planet also tries to kill us regularly, Owen explained. Storms with 300-kilometer winds. Temperature swings of 80 degrees in a single day. Earthquakes that reshape continents. We built civilizations anyway. A crystalline student raised an appendage. Why would any species remain on such a world? Why not leave once you develop space travel? Owen smiled. Because it is home. Because the danger made us who we are. Because we learned that the things trying to kill you can also teach you to survive anything. He showed images of humans interacting with animals. A woman treating an injured wolf. A man swimming alongside dolphins. Children riding horses. We did not just survive our apex predators. We befriended them. Wolves became dogs. Wildcats became companions. We trained birds of prey to hunt with us. We learned that cooperation is stronger than conquest. The Ravager, Dalmon said carefully. You applied these same principles. Yes, it was scared and hurt. I treated it like I would treat any injured animal, with respect and compassion. The Ravager lifted its head at Owen's voice, then settled back down. The casual trust between human and apex predator made several students gasp. What does Earth want from the Federation? An administrator asked from the back. Why reveal yourselves now? Owen was quiet for a moment. Humanity spent thousands of years fighting itself. We had wars that killed millions. We nearly destroyed our own planet through carelessness. We made every mistake a young species could make. He pulled up images of Earth's cities, green spaces integrated with urban development, wildlife corridors connecting ecosystems. We learned. We grew up. We realized that our strength was not in domination, but in protection. Now we look at the galaxy and see thousands of species who never had to face what we faced. You have technologies we cannot imagine. You have cultures rich with billions of years of peace. And you have creatures like the Ravager in laboratories. Owen continued, treated as specimens instead of beings. You have worlds damaged by careless expansion because you never learned to live carefully. You have conflicts that could be solved with the kind of perspective Earth's dangers taught us. You want to join the Federation? Dalmon said slowly. We want to help. We are good at surviving dangerous situations. We're good at reading body language across species. We're good at protecting things. Let us do what Earth made us good at. The lecture hall was silent. Owen's words carried weight beyond their simplicity. He was not offering dominance or superiority. He was offering partnership. That a student spoke up, voice small. Are you ever afraid? Owen nodded. Every single day. Fear keeps you alert. Fear keeps you alive. The difference is we learned not to let fear stop us from doing what is right. He gestured to the Ravager. This creature scared everyone here, but it was just an animal that needed help. Once you understand that, fear becomes respect. Respect becomes cooperation. Professeur Dalmon stood slowly. I need to rewrite everything I have ever published. Owen smiled. I will help if you want. Collaboration makes better science. The hall erupted in questions, discussions, debates. The galaxy was waking up to the reality of Deathworlders, and that reality was far more complex and hopeful than ancient warning suggested. 6 months transformed the university more than the previous 6 decades. The lecture hall that once dismissed Deathworlders now featured transparent enclosures where students observed creatures from Class 7 and Class 8 worlds. The animals moved freely, calm and healthy, supervised by teams that included both traditional xenobiologists and new specialists. Owen knelt beside a creature from a high-gravity world, examining its leg injury, while a group of students watched from a safe distance. The animal resembled a cross between a bear and an armored lizard, capable of tearing through steel plating. It sat patiently while Owen applied a medical wrap. Notice how it shifts weight away from the injury, Owen explained to his students. Body language tells you everything if you pay attention. It trusts that I am helping, but it is ready to defend itself if I make a wrong move. Rin stood nearby, taking notes on a tablet. The moth person had become Owen's teaching assistant, specializing in cross-species communication patterns. Their delicate appearance contrasted sharply with the dangerous fauna they now worked with daily. How do you know it trusts you? A student asked. Owen gestured to the creature's posture. See how its muscles are relaxed? If it felt threatened, you would see tension through the shoulders and haunches. Its breathing would change. Pupils would dilate. Every species has tells. He finished the bandaging and stepped back. The creature stood, tested the leg, then made a rumbling sound that might have been contentment. It moved back to its enclosure without prompting. Professor Delmon entered the observation area, accompanied by several visitors wearing Federation diplomatic insignia. He had spent the past months completely restructuring his research, now focusing on Deathworld species integration rather than theoretical impossibilities. Council members, Delmon announced, this is Owen Briggs, who has revolutionized our understanding of apex predator management. Owen stood, wiping his hands on a cloth. Just doing what we do back home. One of the diplomats, a tall being with silver skin, studied the enclosures with obvious concern. These creatures were scheduled for termination before your arrival. They were deemed too dangerous for rehabilitation. They just needed someone who understood them, Owen said. Most aggression comes from fear or pain. Address those, and you can work with almost any species. The diplomat consulted a datapad. Your methods have been adopted by 73 research facilities across the Federation. Mortality rates among both staff and specimens have dropped by 89%. The economic impact alone justifies expanding the human exchange program. How many humans are coming? Dalmon asked. 12 arrived last week, the diplomat replied. Specialists in wildlife rehabilitation, ecosystem management, and interspecies communication. More have applied. Owen felt a familiar mix of pride and concern. They will need proper orientation. Working with alien species is different than Earth animals. You will train them, the diplomat stated. The Council has approved funding for a Deathworlder integration program. You will direct it. Before Owen could respond, alarms chimed softly. Not the emergency sirens from months ago, but a gentle alert indicating new arrivals at the sanctuary section. Owen checked his communicator and smiled. The Ravager's transfer is complete, he told the group. They moved it to the Class 7 habitat this morning. He led them through corridors that had been reinforced and redesigned based on Earth's wildlife facility standards. The new habitat was enormous, mimicking the Ravager's home environment with appropriate terrain and climate. The Ravager stood in the center of its new territory, which it now shared with 3 others of its species, rescued from various failed containment situations. The creature that had terrified an entire research facility now interacted calmly with its own kind. When it saw Owen through the observation window, it approached and pressed against the transparent barrier. Not aggressive, almost affectionate. Rin watched the interaction with quiet wonder. Do you think it remembers you helping it? Probably. Most intelligent species remember kindness. The diplomat made notes. The Council wants your assessment on expanding sanctuary programs. There are hundreds of apex predators currently in maximum security facilities because we lack proper management protocols. They do not need maximum security, Owen said. They need appropriate environments and staff who understand their needs. Give me a list of the facilities and species. We could develop transition plans. Professor Dalmon pointed to another section of the habitat where construction was ongoing. We are building areas for Class 9 and Class 10 species. Your fellow humans will manage those programs. One of them is Sarah, Owen mentioned. She works with bears back home. Bears? The diplomat asked. 800-kilogram omnivores with claws designed for digging through trees. She gives them medical checkups and tracks their migration patterns. The diplomat's expression suggested they were still processing the casual relationship humans had with lethal fauna. The Council remains divided on full human integration into the Federation. Some members fear Deathworlders pose security risks. Owen turned from the window. That is fair. We are different. But different does not mean dangerous. It means we bring skills you need. You have species going extinct because they are too aggressive for your standard protocols. You have ecosystems failing because you lack specialists who understand dangerous environments. We can help. And what do humans gain? The diplomat asked carefully. Partnership, knowledge, a place in something larger than ourselves. Owen gestured to the sanctuary around them. Earth taught us to survive. The Federation can teach us to thrive. That exchange benefits everyone. Rin spoke up quietly. 6 months ago, I was terrified of Owen. Now I cannot imagine studying xenobiology without him. Fear becomes respect. Respect becomes friendship. The diplomat considered this. I will recommend expanding the exchange program to the full council. Later, after the diplomats left, Owen stood in the observation area, watching the Ravager interact with its companions. Rin joined him, wings folded peacefully. Do you miss Earth? Rin asked. Owen thought about home. Mountains and forests. Oceans filled with ancient predators. Whether that could kill the unprepared. Sometimes. But this work matters. These creatures deserve better than fear and imprisonment. Professor Dalmon says more humans arriving next month will bring families. Children. Owen smiled. That will be interesting. Human children are very curious about animals. Should we be concerned? Probably, but in a good way. The sun set over the sanctuary, painting the sky in colors that reminded Owen of home. The Ravagers settled down for the night, safe and calm.